Well, this show is committed to taking a much closer look at big tech. Contrary to many people's expectations, technology companies have turned out to be the single biggest threat to your freedom of speech, to many of your rights, and in fact, to your well-being, certainly to your privacy as an American. So we're always looking to know more. Trace Gallagher joins us tonight with what he's found. Trace?
Tucker, Zhou Vengsuo was a Chinese human rights activist based in New York, but the professional networking site LinkedIn blocked his profile page in China because of, quote, specific content, though the company did not say what specific content ran afoul of Chinese policy. Instead, they wrote this, quoting, "While we strongly support freedom of expression, we recognize that when we launched that we would need to adhere to the requirements of the Chinese government in order to operate in China." But human rights groups say this has nothing to do with violating Chinese laws and everything to do with trying to silence Chinese dissidents. Turns out Zhou was a leader of the 1989 pro-democracy protests in Tiananmen Square. But breaking tonight, LinkedIn has now restored Mr. Zhou's page, saying it made a mistake. And separately, we thought you should know that documents filed by the Dutch Chamber of Commerce show that in 2017, Google shifted $23 billion to a tax shelter in Bermuda. The move is legal, but it does allow the company to avoid triggering U.S. income taxes and European withholding taxes. Google says it pays all its taxes and complies with all laws. Tucker.
Is really shocking. Trace, thank you for that. Well, back in this country, as major tech platforms continue to suppress free speech, people who seek to think for themselves will have to look for alternatives. And if those alternatives don't exist, they may need to be created. Dave Rubin has reached that conclusion after years of thinking about it. He, of course, hosts the Rubin Report on YouTube. And until recently, he raised money for his show on the crowdfunding site Patreon. But now, after Patreon purged several dissenting voices from its service, Rubin and Professor Jordan Peterson have announced they will be leaving. Dave Rubin joins us tonight to explain what he's doing. Dave, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. One of the reasons this was such an exciting story to hear is that finally someone is opting out and creating an alternative. What are you going to do now that you've left this service?
Yeah, well, I would say the headline here really is that I think the tech story of 2019 is that the people, the average person watching your show, that watches my show, has to decide what kind of internet they want. And do we want a free internet that respects dissenting opinion, that allows for free expression and free speech and things of that nature? Or do we want a controlled internet that is basically controlled by the social justice mob that you did a segment on this show earlier? I think, yeah, you're right. The reason that Dr. Peterson and I are leaving Patreon on January 15th, despite it being something like 70% of my company's revenue, which I'm voluntarily giving up, is that it is time for someone to take a stand. We're just watching our freedoms erode away. We're just giving them up. We're letting these companies take people out. We're letting these companies say, no, you can't say this. You can't earn money. You can't make a living, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, you know what? At some point, if a couple of us that have some influence don't stand up, then nobody will. And then this whole game, this whole beautiful game about freedom on the internet, it'll all be over before we know it. And that's why Jordan and I are doing this. And there's it's a Herculean effort to design a system that will truly respect freedom and not be destroyed when the mob comes to turn on it. We've got a lot of technical issues to deal with, technological issues. We've got free speech issues to deal with, legal issues to deal with. So we've got work to do, but let's go ahead and do it.
The fact that you're putting 70% of your income on the line to do this, I think is inspiring, and I hope it is literally an inspiration to other people. When will this service be up, do you think?
It's going to take a couple months. You know, we don't want to overpromise right now. Anyone that's watching your show that understands tech knows that this is not going to be easy to be built out. But we just felt, look, let's get some of the middlemen out of the way. Patreon had just become a middleman. And right now, people can go to daverubin.com/donate if they want to support what I'm doing. They can go to Dr. Peterson's website if they want to support what he's doing. And I just believe that actually people have had enough. So I'm taking a risk here, but I truly believe with no risk comes no reward. And we'll build something better. And, you know, we've got allies, people like you that are on mainstream media that are helping promote these stories and ideas. And I think 2019 actually is the year that the people start fighting back. Enough of giving into the mobs.
Yeah. God bless you for taking the first step. Dave Rubin, we're rooting for you, obviously.
Thanks, brother.